Little demonstration on getting our Ixar Betrayer to the Zoneline for non-faction monk. This can most certainly be a bit of a tricky thing to do, but there's two main things that you need to understand, which is primary aggro and secondary aggro, as one whole thing, considered aggro, and then your second item is what would be called a witness check, and there's not really, these are things that I've kind of discussed with other players and things like that, so it's not necessarily a finite thing. I don't know exactly in the code what that stuff looks like, but this is things I've learned. So we'll want this guardian to be out of our way at some point here. He will aggro, of course, and come with. But basically we have these two spawns and then the betrayer himself. And on PQ, he's 100% chance to spawn, so you don't have to worry about PHs. So basically what happens is we are trying to get secondary aggro on him so we can take him up this way and take him back to the zone line. So we'll root one of these, or you can mez, or anything that can be witnessed by another mob, and it will bring him with us. And then you have to maintain a small distance, probably we'll say about this far. If you get much further than that, then he'll potentially become primary aggro, and then all witnesses to him passing by will assist him, like you would see with most normal situations, which is where secondary aggro comes in versus primary aggro. So if I root this war dog and then he comes with, then I can get him on secondary aggro instead of primary. If I attacked this war dog, it would be primary and he would be working much different at that point, and everything would assist him. So I already pre-rooted this other war dog and it just wore off, so I'm gonna have to reset this, but this will be a good example of how that's done. But as you can see, it'll be just the war dog and the betrayer. See how those other guys didn't help? That would be what we call secondary aggro. They witnessed me do it, but it wasn't a detrimental spell, it was just a root. Not sure what all goes into that list, but my personal things I use are root and screaming terror or a mez, which are things that don't damage the mob but change their state. Basically, it seems to be the general consensus for what works. Bridgekeeper's still where he's supposed to be. Flesh Ripper is what we rooted, so we'll be rooting the war dog this time. There's secondary aggro established. I have no idea why, but if we get past that little range I was telling you about, then he will become primary aggro and everything will assist him. The other thing to keep in mind is you want to pay attention to your root on the mob that you originally got the secondary aggro from, because that mob will, once it breaks, it'll be primary aggro the whole way here. yeah, anything that witnesses is going to be secondary aggro to your non-detrimental spell. So there's a little bit that goes into understanding this. And I wouldn't say I fully understand it, but I would say I can use it to my advantage pretty easily. So you'll have this recruit that comes all the way to the entrance. You'll have to deal with that if you have somebody else here, but usually a monk and you can handle this no problem. I'm going to go ahead and root it and then demonstrate a root rot method because you can do that yourself, no issues. He does not summon. Always want to be ready for that powder. You can either Screaming Terror or root it or whatever. It's better to just use your most efficient dots, but I just want them to die quickly. Very humane euthanasia of this betrayer. There's your pipe.